And the theme of tonight's little talk is the welcoming prayer, which we've done before in this group, but I thought that that might be one of the most helpful things we could do at such a challenging, difficult time, is just spend a few minutes on the welcoming prayer before we go into our centering prayer period. So let's begin with a psalm. How long will this pain go on, Lord? This grief I can hardly bear. How long will anguish grip me and agony wring my mind? Light up my eyes with your presence. Let me feel your love in my bones. Keep me from losing myself in ignorance and despair. Teach me to be patient, Lord. Teach me to be endlessly patient. Let me trust that your love enfolds me. When my heart feels desolate and dry, I will sing to the Lord at all times, even from the depths of pain. Welcome to this digital contemplative prayer group. This is a place for all God's people. Whatever your beliefs or doubts, you are welcome here. If you're new to centering prayer, just follow the instructions as the session unfolds. You're also welcome to use the silence in any other way that is right for you. Loving God, we ask for your blessings upon this gathering, recognizing that we bring the joys and sorrows of our lives here today. If anyone would like to mention, silently or aloud, expressions of gratitude or concern for ourselves, our families, our friends, our society, our nation, or our fragile planet, please do so now.
Help us all to be steadfast and loving and brave, like John Lewis would model for us. Thank you.
I would just ask for continued prayers for our country.
God, we trust that you hear our prayers, silent or spoken, wordless or in words. So today, as I tried to think about what would be most helpful to offer you this evening during such a tumultuous, stressful time, I come back to our contemplative practices and all that they have to offer us. I don't really have any answers for how to think about the things that are happening right now, but I do have suggestions about how we can respond to them prayerfully by allowing God to act within us. Our contemplative practices invite us to open our hearts so that we can hear the mysterious wisdom that God is always ready to offer us. In last night's reading, we heard from John Lewis, who asked us to anchor the eternity of love in our own souls and embed this planet with goodness. And later in the reading, he says, when it is your time, don't be afraid to stand up, and speak out against injustice. But how do we know when it's our time? We begin with the part about anchoring the eternity of love in our own souls. And these practices help us to do that so that we can hear what God is bringing to fruition within us and know when it is our time to speak and stand up and when it is time to go within and heal. We begin with our own healing and we offer it to God for the healing of the world. So I'm going to talk a little bit tonight, not for the first time, about the welcoming prayer. The welcoming prayer is a form of meditation that can be used at times when we're being overwhelmed by an emotion in the midst of our daily lives. While in centering prayer we come apart from life to sit in silence for 20 or 30 minutes, the welcoming prayer is a form of consent on the go that can be used for as little as 30 seconds in the midst of daily life. But we can also use it when we're coming apart together like we are now and do it as a community. So whenever you find that it is difficult or not, if not impossible, to let go of an emotion or a state of being, you can move more deeply into that state. That might be the last thing we feel like doing at the moment. We all have our different ways of running away from what we're feeling, with avoidance, repression, addiction, analysis. The welcoming prayer gives us a method of accepting what is, rather than trying to run away from it. We consent to the presence of the sacred and to this moment just as it is. So these are the steps of the prayer. There are 3 simple steps, and they're pretty easy to remember when you're in the midst of life. The hard part is to remember to do it at all, not so much to remember the steps. The 3 steps are to feel and sink in, to welcome, and to let go. So the first step is to feel and sink into whatever you're experiencing in your body, noticing the sensation in your body of the emotion or the state of being. And all emotions do have these physical manifestations. We may not always be very good at finding them because we're so used to ignoring them or running away from them. So we can spend some time getting better at learning to find them. Where is the sensation? What does it feel like? Is it moving around? Are you tensing parts of your body or breathing differently than usual? I'll be guiding us into a little exercise of it and asking you some of these questions again to help you find it. Is it a familiar sensation? Then we welcome whatever we're experiencing, accepting that our feelings are there and that you can just be the way you are without trying to change anything. This gives us an opportunity to consent to God's presence within us. And then when we're ready, we let go. And there's a little sentence that goes with that process. I let go of my desire for security, affection, and control, and embrace this moment as it is. So we'll just do a brief exercise. It can be very helpful if you're interested in learning more about this. There's a meditation chapel session on Thursdays. I think it's at 11 or 12 Eastern time, where they do this in a more spacious way. We'll just do a kind of a brief version of it to help us focus on some of the emotions that may be coming up for us in this past week that have been challenging, and give us an opportunity to spend a little time just feeling them while we're together, which might feel a little bit safer than feeling them when you're alone. So let's start with a body scan. Just start to notice your body. Close your eyes. Start with the top of your head. Just notice, are there any sensations? What does it feel like? Is there anything in your scalp, a tingling or a tightness? In your face, or any of the muscles of your face clenched? Your jaw, you could just feel your tongue in your mouth. Is it holding any tension? The back of your neck, that's where I hold a lot of tension. Your shoulders, are they able to hang from your body, or are they creeping upwards? Your chest area, that's often where a lot of emotions move around for me. There's sometimes a kind of a piercing sensation of a certain emotion, or a kind of a swirling, or a tightness of constriction in my heart or my throat. Your back, what do you notice in your abdomen? Your hips? Any coldness or heaviness or your legs, your feet? So often when we do the welcoming prayer, we just notice what's already there, and we sink into the feeling that we find there. Give it a chance to kind of ripen, and just allow it to be there. But what I'm going to do tonight is I'm going to invite you, if you choose, you can just continue to stay with whatever you happen to find in your body already. But if you'd like, you could also just bring to mind some of the thoughts or images or ideas that have been distressing to you over the past week. And just notice, where do the emotions that come with those thoughts, images, where do they lodge themselves in your body? What do they change in your body? Do they change your breathing? Can you feel them in a particular part of your body? Is there a sensation of trying to run away from a certain part of your body because you don't want to find something there? Just notice whatever it is and allow it to be there. Sink into it like sinking into a warm bath. You don't need to analyze it or explain it or even name the sensation. You can just notice it in a very physical way without any aversion or judgment, just allowing it to be there within you. And then you can welcome it, which may be challenging. It might be something you don't feel like welcoming. But there it is. You can just accept that it's there, and that you can be the way you are without trying to change. Perhaps God is acting in you in some way through this sensation. Welcome. You can just take a moment to go back and forth between the feeling and the sinking in and the welcoming. And when you're ready, you could say, I let go of my desire for security, affection, and control, and embrace this moment as it is. I let go of my desire for security, affection, and control, and embrace this moment as it is. So that's a process you could go through very, very quickly if you're in the midst of daily life and you notice something happening inside you that's difficult to deal with and you want to make a little more space for that. You can go through this 3-step process of feeling and sinking in, welcoming, and letting go. What Teresa Saunier, who teaches the welcoming prayer, says is, what I welcome in the welcoming prayer practice is not the feeling, emotion, thought, or body sensation, but God's activity in them. So it's a way of making more space for God to act within you, much as we do in centering prayer, but this is a way of doing it on the go in the midst of daily life, or doing it when you feel quite afflicted by your physical sensations and your emotions. Thomas Keating says the welcoming prayer practice is a way of letting go into the present moment in the ordinary routines of daily life. It is used when your needs for security, affection, and control are frustrated or gratified and cause emotional reactions. It is a way of turning everything over to God. So you've set something in motion through that prayerful practice, and it can continue to ripen within you as we turn to our centering prayer. So I invite you to take your posture for the next 20 minutes. Sit with your back straight and your feet flat on the ground or in another stable position. Your hands on your thighs or in your lap. And gently close your eyes. And take a few deep breaths. And just notice if there are any adjustments you'd like to make to be comfortable for the prayer period. Stable, relaxed, alert but not rigid. Notice how you are, how it feels to be in the room where you are. And just notice the feeling of being in the virtual space with the rest of our community. And take a moment to notice who God is for you right now, whatever that might mean for you. A sense of mystery, a sense of acceptance, presence, community, justice, absence, unknowing. Whatever it is, renew your commitment to be open to that divine presence in all its aliveness. And if you'd like, you could silently begin to repeat your sacred word or touch your breath ever so gently with your attention, reminding yourself that your sacred symbol is there to help you orient yourself towards God whenever you might need it. And during the prayer period, whenever you notice that you've become engaged with your thoughts, just gently disengage yourself, returning to the sacred symbol if necessary. I'm setting the timer for 20 minutes. Loving God, deepen our longing for you. Tonight's Lectio Divina is from Bishop Stephen Charleston, and I'll read it 3 times with silences in between, and then I'll invite you to repeat a word or phrase from the passage that resonated for you if you choose. Listen with the ear of the heart. The quiet is always there, even in the midst of chaos, there in the center of you, hidden in your heart, waiting. It is good to remember the quiet is still there, because it is so easy for the noise of the world to sweep you away like a white water river. We are living in a time that moves at a painfully slow pace as we continue to cope with the virus until it suddenly shifts to the hectic frenzy of the next news cycle. Trying to keep it all in balance is hard. We feel frustrated or frantic, depending on what happens any given moment of the day. And that is why the quiet within us, the still center, the soul, is so important to our spiritual health. The soul is the quiet within, because it is the ancient echo of the silence just before creation. It is the sound before sound, the sound of peace, the eternal reminder that all will be well. You can hear it when you close your eyes, there in the center of you, the sound of serenity, the music only angels can hear. The quiet is always there, even in the midst of chaos, there in the center of you, hidden in your heart, waiting. It is good to remember the quiet is still there, because it is so easy for the noise of the world to sweep you away like a white water river. We are living in a time that moves at a painfully slow pace as we continue to cope with the virus, until it suddenly shifts to the hectic frenzy of the next news cycle. Trying to keep it all in balance is hard. We feel frustrated or frantic, depending on what happens any given moment of the day. And that is why the quiet within us, the still center, the soul, is so important to our spiritual health. The soul is the quiet within, because it is the ancient echo of the silence just before creation. It is the sound before sound, the sound of peace, the eternal reminder that all will be well. You can hear it when you close your eyes, there in the center of you, the sound of serenity, the music only angels can hear. The quiet is always there, even in the midst of chaos, there in the center of you, hidden in your heart, waiting. It is good to remember the quiet is still there, because it is so easy for the noise of the world to sweep you away like a whitewater river. We are living in a time that moves at a painfully slow pace as we continue to cope with the virus until it suddenly shifts to the hectic frenzy of the next news cycle. Trying to keep it all in balance is hard. We feel frustrated or frantic, depending on what happens any given moment of the day. And that is why the quiet within us, the still center, the soul, is so important to our spiritual health. The soul is the quiet within, because it is the ancient echo of the silence just before creation. It is the sound before sound, the sound of peace, the eternal reminder that all will be well. You can hear it when you close your eyes, there in the center of you, the sound of serenity, the music only angels can hear. I invite you to share a word or phrase that resonated for you.
Always there.
The sound before sound.
The still center.
That only angels can hear. The quiet within.
Still center.
Hidden in your heart.
The quiet is all.
Ancient quiet echo.
The music angels can only hear.
Sound of serenity. All will be well.
The soul. Let's close by saying together the night prayer. I invite you to say it along with me with yourself on mute. Lord, it is night. The night is for stillness. Let us be still in the presence of God. It is night after a long day. What has been done has been done. What has not been done has not been done. Let it be. The night is dark. Let our fears of the darkness of the world and of our own lives rest in you. The night is quiet. Let the quietness of your peace enfold us, all dear to us and all who have no peace. The night heralds the dawn. Let us look expectantly to a new day, new joys, new possibilities. In your name we pray. Amen. Well, thanks for being here. It was wonderful to be with you.
Always beautiful, Lindsay. Thank you.
Beautiful, Lindsay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lindsay.
You.
Good night.
Thank you, Lindsay.
Lindsay.
Thank you.
Night, everybody.
Night, everyone.
Be well.
Good night.